Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting as we're here tonight with the Stars and Stripes Racing League as we start the round of 8 here tonight at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway as these drivers just rolling off the grid. Sorry for a little bit of a late start here we got tonight as we've had a few little technical issues that we had to get ironed out in the background, but we got those all fixed up. My name is Zach Hall, joined alongside me tonight for his first broadcast ever, ladies and gentlemen, so give him a warm welcome up here. Is this going to be Christopher Norse as Wonder Pace Laps? Norse, anything you think is going to play out here tonight at the tricky New Hampshire Motor Speedway?
It's New Hampshire, so anything can happen. These drivers are hungry, looking to lock themselves into, I guess, the championship four, so looking to get themselves a lobster, and we'll see what happens.
That they will, Christopher. It's going to be a fun night of racing. 120 laps here at the Magic Mile in New Hampshire. All this horsepower, such low grip. And the round of 8 all on the line tonight. The pace car takes the hard left turn down the pit road, and the green flag is out as we're green for the Granite State 120 here as they head down to turn number 1. Great start from Diego Valle as he starts from the pole position. It's going to be Dylan Grimm immediately slotting down to second as they come off of turn 2. Let's see if they can put that power down, Christopher.
2x2 all the way back from P4, actually P3 on back, and it looks like they'll keep it nice and calm for now, but let's see what happens in turn 3 and 4.
It'll be interesting to see how they conquer these turns. This track, very tricky, first off, due to the low banking, folks. A mile in length, very, very long straightaways. It's like you took the Martinsville Speedway and pretty much multiplied it by 2 here. As it's much similar to that. So you're going to see some very tricky racing for sure. As it looks like farther back in the background, looks like maybe that was the 99 there. James Lowe was way up the racetrack there in 1 and 2. And I think it was even June White also in the 09 who was much higher than that. And I think you might see this in this Gen 4 cars, some really awkward lines with all this power being trying to put down to the surface.
Yeah, I mean, exiting turn 2, the 21 Ross Tatum got really loose. Lucky was able to save it, and going into turn 1 the last time, the 09 just got really tight, all because he had to slam the brakes a little bit harder. I mean, just judging the braking points, definitely looks like it's going to be a struggle tonight.
Oh, and you can see there, like you said, a struggle. The 09, the 21, both wiggling here as they come off the exit of turn number 2. This is the race for the 6th position on the racetrack. Both drivers here playoff contenders in the round of 8, and really the 2 drivers behind them also too, the 05 of Scott Rickard, the 6 of Chris Worrell. So 4 playoff contenders all stacked up as now the 6 of Worrell looks like maybe he's going to look to the inside here of the 09 to follow the 21 through, but it's going to be interesting to see which lane becomes the dominant way around, as it looks like multiple grooves are working with that 09, be able to really hold that 21 back here, Christopher.
Yeah, I think he's able to do it, but it just depends on how much they want to push the car. It looks like the 21's willing to break a little bit deeper, but the 09's willing to put the power down and that's it. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we deep clean, but hey, who knows? It's playoff racing.
That it is. Playoff racing, anything can happen. We know how that can be. And really the big thing is it's sometimes hard just to judge how early a driver in front of you can brake. And with these cars, we've seen, Christopher, you maybe can explain a little bit to the folks, but these things are scary when you get into the back bumper of somebody. It almost seems like you got a snowplow in the front end.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it myself. It's happened to me. Just, give them a little bit scoop and they go down the track. It's not something you want to happen, but unfortunately it happens. But luckily, we've been able to keep it clean and keep it green. Let's hope for the best and see how long we can do that.
It was like June White finally overtaken there by the 6 of Worrell. Is now Ross Tatum in the 6 by him. The 05 and Rickard going to take the look to the inside. And, Christopher, not a part of the series normally, may not know the tendencies of these drivers such as myself or Sam would have, but the 05, definitely one of the best short track drivers, and I think what the 09, that's his weakness, is his short track game. June White definitely struggling when it comes to the short tracks. Tonight's going to be a critical point for that driver to try to get those points built up in this first race to have that ability to try to go fight for the Final 4, knowing they want a shot at that championship.
Yeah, and if we move up front, Dylan Grimm, I've watched his lap times. He's done pretty decent, but my biggest issue here is how much is he pushing? He's putting down the fastest laps on track, but is he pushing his tires too much? Is he bunning up that left rear, right rear, and just he's going to spin out here in 10 laps? That's uncertainly, and we're not sure what's going to happen, but hey, the racing pretty clean so far.
It's so easy to get kind of lulled into that factor of trying to race the driver ahead of you. Valle's got the clean track ahead. He's just probably trying his best to pace himself we've seen Valle personally throughout majority of the season, it seems like, be very, very good at keeping a strong pace up throughout the race, not really falling off. Where last season he kind of struggled with that longer run. This season it's been somewhat of the strength of that 68. So if you're at 23, I mean, being the teammate of IA, I'm sure they're sharing some information here back and forth, but you can't get caught up trying to race the 68 too hard because you'll quickly burn that left rear tire up and you'll be struggling very much for drive off as these first 9 laps have clicked off here pretty quickly right now as it's single file through much of the field here, Norris, but that doesn't mean something could happen right around the next corner.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at it now, it's flip-flopping between these two. I mean, it really is for the whole field. They're still running similar laps, just staying close together. So tires aren't a huge issue right now, but I say we give another 5 to 7 laps, and we'll see what happens.
That we will. We'll definitely have to see what happens there as we check back in on the 11 car of Thomas Ogle. Unfortunately, Thomas Ogle, one of the drivers that came into the playoffs as maybe one of those favorites, was not able to move on to the next round and get into the 8 playoff contenders that moved into the second round. And unfortunately, he was the one sitting back home now as the 05 Scott Rickard ahead, trying to make the pass on the 09 of June White. It's been a long battle between those two as that continues on. It's really our only battle throughout the field. It just shows you it's, you know, the Magic Mile is a place where you can pass, but due to the strength of that outer groove, it is makes passes very, very tough. Not only that, putting the power down here, one of the toughest things when you got somebody on your outside, Norris, it's very tough to put the power down in this Gen 4 car.
Yeah, and I mean, these guys are doing pretty good. I mean, we had a few, little whoopsies at the beginning, but these drops are holding on pretty good. And I mean, I'm looking at the, I believe, 46 of Zach Kreitz here, and he's struggling a little bit on that sit, but overall, he's still doing pretty good. And 11 laps in, that's not enough time to judge how good they will do. But judging because it's a short track, it's this version of the Gen 4 and the tire model, I have a feeling, given another 10 laps, these guys will possibly be close to spinning out, depending on how fast they're going.
That's what I'm waiting for, to start to see those rear ends start to flare up on the exit. And right now, lap time wise, our leader Diego Valle right now ran a 30.88 the last time out front. Started off this race, his best lap was a 30.26. So we're already seeing about 0.6 of fall off here, and that's another thing I want to watch out for here tonight, Norris. How much fall off will we get? Because with a 120 lap event here tonight, remember, Stars and Stripes, no stage breaks. This is a straightforward race here, folks. We could go clean and green all the way to the end of this thing here. I think it's pretty much a straightforward strategy, of course, to get to that lap 60 marker with fuel and try to make it from there on the one stop. But the question is going to be, how well will the tires last for that 60 laps?
For sure. And jumping up to the front, we have Kyle McCoy. He seems to be catching a little bit, gained a little bit of time on Dylan Grimm. So see if he'll be able to get the pass done once he gets here. But let's say just settling in for now. But he's running about equal laps with the guy in front of him, Dylan Grimm and Diego Valle. So I'll see what happens. And
we'll definitely have to see what happens, because I got my eye on Kyle McCoy. I mean, this season he came in here, notoriously, in my opinion, has been a driver that's really been one of the best intermediate race drivers. Really just amazing intermediate style driver. But this season, those tracks have not been his strong suit. It seems like more of the flat, really, flatter short tracks have been his strong suit. I mean, look back to his win this season. It was at the Martinsville Speedway. Again, I talked about it earlier. This track almost seems like he took Martinsville and kind of multiplied it by 2 and took the concrete off the surface and just left asphalt all the way around it. So it's definitely, I think, something he could take a little bit of what he learned from Martinsville and carrying here tonight, as he's starting to put a little bit of pressure here on this 23, as the 68 is starting to open up a little bit of a gap now.
yeah, and I actually just went back and looked on lap 14, Brian Bouchette. He had a slight incident, got pretty loose off turn 2, was luckily able to save it in the grass and keep going, but unfortunately he's now 18 seconds behind the leader. But good for him for saving that car. But now I think it's time we're going to start seeing some drivers start to struggle.
That we will. I think the struggle is definitely going to start to happen now. Just from the little bit of practice I got to watch, it was around that lap 20 that we start to see some movement here. Is now the movements begin in the 21 Ross Tatum on the offensive here. Is now the 6 under attack of Chris Worrell. He's trying to hold on to the 6th position. The 7 of Ross Tatum, though, just cannot hold the bottom enough to continue that attack. He'll have to try to reline that momentum back up and get back to the inside of the 6. But now Scott Rickard, after his pass around June White, he's been able to excel as he's caught right up to the back of the 21.
Yeah, I think that 21 is definitely struggling right now, but it might just be the line. I mean, the top might be dominant. I mean, we'll see here as we move on and further in the race, but I definitely think Ross Tatum's falling back a little bit as his lap times have been, but still running pretty strong. We'll see what happens as we have a lot of racing left.
A lot of racing still to go. Only 19 laps in of the 120. And personally, we got just coming into tonight again, that lap pit window should open up around lap 60. So these drivers still have another at least 40 laps on these tires. And right now, we're starting to see the first times of about a second of a fall off. So add another 40 laps to this, we might see about 2 seconds upwards of fall off by the end of all of this. And that you know, the more fall off we have, I think the better racing we'll get and the more passes we might see happen, because it's just going to make those differences in speed. And right now, the 05 Rickard here, as we're watching, trying to maybe attack that 21, who at the moment was trying to get the 6, but just couldn't make the pass. Now, maybe he's going to have to think about behind, because it's so easy to do. You know, you focus forward north sometimes, and you're trying to make the pass on the driver ahead, and then all of a sudden someone creeps up in your mirror, and the next thing you know, they're passing you.
Yeah, and one big surprise that these drivers are still pretty close on lap times. It has been 20 laps, but every, 5, 6 positions, the drivers are about the same. The fastest, which I've seen in like mid-pack, would be Joshua Robinson, who's running probably about a tenth or two faster than James Lowe in front of him and Chris behind him. So, I mean, it just kind of depends. See who can make the passes, what they can do. But I think Scott Rickard has it here. It just depends on how much he can save compared to Ross Tatum.
It will be interesting to see how much he can make up with that. Is now the 10, or sorry, back in 10th position, the 11 of Thomas Ogle. He's going to attack the 09 of June White here, and White continuing to drop back. Looks like a struggle again on these short tracks for this 09.
Yeah, and I mean, as we know, the 09 is a controller driver, so I'm not sure if that has something to do with it. Definitely, I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't tried it myself. I know some have. But using the wheel and pedals, in my opinion, it's probably the better way to go, just because you can control the car a lot more. So, I mean, I've been feeling that's why I'm struggling with how loose it can be, and just especially on off exit. I mean, that's just a hard struggle. But I mean, he's just putting the power down really hard, going mid center. So I think that's where he's losing the most time, especially on entry. But hey, we'll see what happens. But he has a lot of time. He can catch it back up.
Definitely plenty of time still left here in this race. Is 120 laps at a normal mile track, we would be like, wow, that's a short race. But when you're racing around this mile track here with how flat it is, you're running 31-second times. That's slower than what we do at most our mile-and-a-half tracks late into the run. So this race here definitely still on the longer side of things. It looks like we got the battle going up ahead of him. Scott Rickard finally got to the inside of the 21 of Ross Tatum, and he's going to try to take over that 7th position, because Ross was to the inside of that 6 there for a few laps. Used his tires possibly up, because now the 05 under, they're really the one that's trying to make this work.
Yeah, and I mean, he's hanging on pretty strong, but I think the 05 just ascended in there just a little bit and try that inside. Unless he thinks the outside is better, which Ross is doing pretty good at defending that, but we'll see here as he starts to get a little bit loose off the center, but hey, anything can happen.
This is what makes passing so tough here, is because you can get that run up off. You can get to the inside, but making the pass on the bottom is really harder said than done. So definitely one of those things to watch out for. Is one of the fun things I think we get to see a lot of times at these this mile track here in New Hampshire, that it's kind of awkward that you wouldn't see from most tracks. I think if we can drop back to the 09 of June White, he's going to be running on the apron of the surface of this racetrack. So this is something I've seen before multiple different times at this racetrack. It works sometimes. Other times I've seen it be kind of a hindrance to your tires. So going to be interesting to see what June White can do with this style line there. You see completely on the flat with the 09 machine.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I've seen it and I've done it. The tire strategy is definitely something interesting. I think it can work definitely if he does it right. But based off the lap times, it doesn't look great. So, I mean, we'll see here. I mean, he's running a 31.6. The guys in front of him running a 31.4. So hopefully he can find some more speed here by doing and running different lines. But hey, anything can happen.
It looks like now going to go back to the top side as the '09 is the 54 Andrew Hess. He's closed in and probably said, "Man, which line is this '09 going to be running?" Because that's one of those awkward things I think when you see somebody run that style of a line at this racetrack is, the driver behind is kind of like, whoa, that is very awkward to watch and see it work. And we'll see how other drivers employ to try to do it. But so far the '09, the only one yet to go down to the apron of this surface here through the first 28 laps of this event is. Looks like so far, while this has all been playing out, Diego Valle continuing to stretch those legs. Norris now built up about a second gap to that 23 at Grimm.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has this one in the bag. If he can just keep on and just keep it smooth and keep it straight. He's running about 2/10 faster than the guy behind him, and really 2 or 3/10 faster than the whole field. So he's running some amazing laps. Make sure he gets the strategy right, and hey, we'll see what happens. And I think he's probably a very strong contender here at this track tonight.
He really is, and no major surprises there for Diego, in my opinion, because you look at him, he's got 4 wins this season coming into tonight here at New Hampshire. I mean, that's leading the series, of course, with his teammate June White there with 3. So those two really been star-studded when it comes to this field. And Ross Tatum with his 2 victories still, along with Thomas Ogle. But the rest of the field down with most majority won. So Valle's been somewhat of the driver to beat this season. So really no surprise to see him up front once again here at this style of racetrack. I think that really suits what he gets done in that race car. But the one driver I think coming into this pictures we just seen down the front straightaway, that's James Lowe. Got to watch out for him. Looks like he's closed up the Kyle McCoy here, Christopher.
Yeah, and I mean, it depends on if he can pass. I mean, he can get there, but can he pass? I definitely think he has a tire to do it. He's been running some pretty fast laps. But hey, we'll see here in probably less than a lap if he can get there. And looks like he's running them down pretty tight.
Looks like he is starting to close that gap down. Looks like Kyle McCoy struggling with that rear end. And we talked about when will we start to see the struggle with the rear end of these cars? When will drivers start to feel the brunt of the rear tires? And maybe here already in these early 32 laps, this is when the time is starting to happen. Is now we'll see if Lowe can take advantage of that 7 starting to squirm and wiggle on the exit. But for now, the 7 goes way up the track. I think it's going to miss the corner.
Yeah, I mean, he's been able to keep it on pretty tight here, but hey, we're still looking pretty good. And to his inside, but see if he can get the pass done and see what can happen.
Great job by Lowe there to take it to the bottom side and get to the 7's inside here. And he will clear in the center of the corner. Great job by the 99 there to come off the exit of 2 and complete the pass up to the 3rd position. Now going to have some clear track ahead of him. Love to see what his lap times produce, because with all that passing done, lost a considerable amount of ground, about 2 seconds back from the 23rd Grimm and about 3 back from the 68 of Valle. As now Whirl also up into the 5th position. Chris Whirl has been really the one that's been striking forward here up through this race here, up from 7th up to the 5th position.
Yeah, and I think he's moved pretty strong. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him pass here, Kyle McCoy, here on probably about 10 laps or so. Looks like his last lap he ran about 2/10 faster. Let's see if he can continue to do that, especially to gap Joshua Robinson. So I definitely think he's also another contender to go for him the top 3, top 5, should maybe even win if it falls in his hands. So we'll see here in the next few laps and hopefully move on pretty strong.
About 4.7 seconds back from the leader is this 6, and if we do stay green, it's going to be quite the drive to catch up to our leaders up front, but don't put it out of question yet. We've seen that 6 here blossom in this playoff really here, as he was a winner not too long ago at the Rockingham Speedway. So just a winner 2 weeks ago. He's going to be looking to possibly get back into victory lane and have that feeling of, being a driver that has those extra weeks. I don't think we can reiterate it enough, Christopher, but having those extra weeks to prepare for that championship race, if you won here tonight, would be so valuable, whoever got it done.
Yeah, and always what's in favor for the guys who use it. There's people that just keep on focusing for the next week and just keep up with that timing. Or there's people who also just, the minute they ended that, the win, they go into the next day or shoot even the next hour and start practicing. I've seen that happen in my leads. I mean, they just grind the heck out of it, and usually they come out on top. The guy who I know did it last season, he came out on top. So that's not really much of a surprise. But I mean, in watching these lap times, these guys have definitely put in a lot of work for this track. But one thing I've noticed, especially in this kind of car, the Gen 4 car, Zach, is that everyone reaches the same amount of lap times. It's just how long it takes them to get there. Like, I'm watching the leader, Diego Valley, he ran a 31.5 and then a 31.6 for Dylan Grimm behind him. But it's just kind of spread out through the field. Some running 31.6s, some running 31.8. So it's still pretty close, but everyone's spread out. That's one thing that's, kind of, in my opinion, unfortunate for this car, unless you're faster than the guy ahead of you. But it's still something pretty cool to see. But once they get bunched up, I think it'll be a pretty good fun race.
It really is interesting to see how those lap times converge like that, and we do see it week in, week out, kind of the convergence of lap times later in the run at CC. Guys really all the way back in the ninth, 10th position, running lap times considerable around the leader, and it's just how well did you do before that is the case. So it's going to be one of those things where drivers are definitely doing their best to keep up the speed here, but it makes passing very tough when the competition level is this high between each and every driver. Is the 21 here, Ross Tatum, trying to make that pass for the top 5. It looks like the 30 of Robinson here, he's struggling. Now it's going to push Ross up to 6th. Robinson back to 7th, but look how loose he is there off of 4. That's going to open up the door now for the 05 of Rickard, and here comes the 11 of Thomas Ogle, who's starting to make a charge through.
Yeah, it looks like the 30 of Robinson is definitely falling back, but can he hold on? He loses that 6th position, and don't look too far above Thomas Ogle. He's definitely going to pounce here soon, but maybe Robinson should just slot in line and hopefully hang on, but either way, he's been running some pretty fast laps, so I'm not surprised to see those tires fall off, but we'll see if he can hold on here for P7. P8.
Let's see if he can hold on there for sure. Is that 11's all over the back bumpers. Now the 30 into the wall on the front straightaway. That's going to allow the 11 and the 09 of June White here to come into the picture. Great recovery from June. Now the 09 going to dive off of the exit of 2 onto the inside of the 30 as Robinson just struggled. Is in the background, I believe. That was the 8 of Jason Gratton. He just slammed the wall off of 2. Or sorry, actually wasn't Gratton. It was Brian Burchett, one of the drivers who's a lap down right now in the 33. So huge hit to the wall for that driver. Is now the 11 of Ogle almost wrecks off of 4. So you can see right here, everybody fighting those rear ends, Christopher.
Yeah, 40 laps in. It's about time to pit. So these drivers are definitely struggling as, the June White made the 30 check up. So they're trying to pounce on each other, plan accordingly. But I don't think we have much left in these tires. If I was drivers and it was time to pit and it was just opening, I would pit now because it's not safe right now. But could see a caution come out soon. But hey, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. And if they were to pit now, this would set you up for a 2-stop race. This would not put you in that window for the 1-stopper. They're going to need to get to at least lap 60 if you want to be in that 1-stop range for these drivers. That's what they're going to be probably most likely gearing towards. We'll just have to see how that works out for Ms. Robinson. This run has took the turn for the worse for him, and that's not good for that 30 team coming in here tonight. One of those 8 playoff contenders wanted to have a great start to this round, and he's the driver that came in here 4th in points, 1 point above Ross Tatum, 1 point above Chris Worrell, 6 points above Kyle McCoy, and 10 points above Dylan Grimm. All 4 of those drivers who he was above, all 4 of those drivers having great nights, Christopher. That's got to be kind of demoralizing for that 30 to see all the drivers behind him in the points all doing well.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, he fell back to 10th, but if we get a few short runs, and I'm talking about like 40 laps or less, I think he can dominate with those. I'm not saying dominate as in win. I'm talking about hopefully get himself back into the top 5. So he's definitely going to want to see some cautions here unless he can change it after the pit stop. But it's still a lot of laps left, but he's got to make sure he manages his tires right, and he does it better than the 9 guys ahead of him.
Well, who has been managing it well is these top 2. It's Dylan Grimm here in 2nd in the 23, 1.1 seconds back from the 68 Diego Valle there as those 2 teammates looking really fantastic, I'd say, on this long run, still running 7s along with James Lowe, who is kind of right in the same bracket as those top 3 are really the only drivers other than June White back there kind of in the 7 bracket also. So other drivers about a tenth to a 2/10 off these top three. These top three are looking very, very good so far. And if this race continues green, it's only going to get better.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of surprised with how some of these drivers have been driving. There hasn't been a caution yet, but hey, they've been holding on pretty strong, and hey, we'll see who comes out on top. Pit stop should be here, and I guess the net's 14 to 15 laps if they want to pit as early as possible, but I would say probably the one stop's best option, but I don't know about pitting too early just because of those tires, especially if there's not going to be a two stop, but we'll see what happens here. And as it looks like there's a battle for P5, sorry. Ross Tatum putting a little bit of pressure on Chris, and hey, we'll see if we can get it done.
Remember, at one point, the 21 was putting the pressure on the 6. Well, the 21 is caught back up to the 6, like Christopher said there. And that battle is definitely starting to heat up as they've, along with that, caught up to Kyle McCoy's the 6 of Whirl. Loose off of 2. Big moment for him. That's going to allow the 21 Ross Tatum to jump to the inside. And here comes the 21 for 5th.
In the 05, don't look too far back. He's looking to pounce as well, but it looks like the Sit's able to power down on the outside. They're keeping it equal. Always the Sit's just a little bit loose. 21's able to close that pass, but don't look too far back. The 05's there. He's going to possibly make a pounce here as he does slightly to the inside.
And these passes are so critical as the 6 almost into the back of the 21 as he's getting slowed up for the corners. Now the 05 to his inside of the 6. These passes, though, so critical because of that pit window opening up here in the next 10 laps. If you can get some passes done right before the pit stops happen, you can have better track position for those fresh tires when you come out of pit road and have a better positioning for there. But look at this great side-by-side action for that 6th position.
This is going to hurt Chris a lot. If Scott can get the pass done, Thomas Odell is right there. It's going to be the same issues as the last time. Thomas Odell doesn't get right there, goes inside. The 6 gets big, loose, and he luckily holds on. And the 11 just saves it just a little bit, but don't look too far back. He's possibly going to go try to hit as he just slots in line.
Great moment there from the 6 to save that. That could have been playoff ruining for him. Saves the car, keeps hold of the position. As you can see, everybody off that exit of 4 just fighting the rear ends. These cars look evil, Christopher. It is amazing to see the wheelmanship from a lot of these drivers.
It looks like the 21 Ross team has caught up to Kyle McCoy. Can he put the pressure on, and can they do it before the pit stops? It looks like he might be just a little bit faster, but is he fast enough to pass him? As it looks like he goes to his inside, but I don't think he can get it done off this time.
McCoy been struggling into the corners, been kind of missing the entries too far in and sliding up the racetrack. This has allowed the 21 a nice clean entry here. We'll see if he can make it work, but Kyle McCoy much better there into 1 that time. Was able to keep the car nice and down, but just not the power off. Ross Tatum noses ahead down the back straightaway, and look at it, Scott Rickard. He's saying, this is perfect. This is my opportunity to come through. He came in here tonight with the points lead, and this is a great job by the 05 in the first run here to try to move himself up into the top 5 from the 9th start spot.
Yeah, Ross Tatum gets clear, and the 05 looks to pounce. They're keeping it single file for right now, but 05's going on his inside. He's going side by side. Huge push through the center of Tora. Let's see if we can get it done off. That's it.
Great race that we're getting here right before the pit stops. Tires falling off, drivers holding on, everybody sliding off the corner X's. The 05 makes the pass. The 7 of McCoy tries to stop the bleeding, but the 6 going to have the momentum off of 4, but he gets loose. That puts him in the wall. Now the 11 of Opel goes by as everybody's struggling here 54 laps into the run here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, and June White is working his way back up with these guys struggling in front of him. Luckily, he's not. He's understood the balance. He's understood what he needs to do to make sure he keeps a nice, clean car that's not going to spin on that sit. So now he's putting the pressure on the sits and diving to his inside, but doesn't quite get there and gets a little bit tight mid-center.
Just a little bit tight for that 09 farther back. But this group holding on is the 05 Rickard, the 7 of Kyle McCoy. I mean, these are just violent movements from these cars on exits. This is very, very interesting to watch how this is all shaking out here throughout this run. Is now McCoy under threat once again. Thomas Ogle to the inside, Chris Worrell right behind, and the 09 of June White. He's trying to rip the top here and go past all 3 of them. This is so fun to watch.
And we almost went 3 wide there, middle of 3 and 4, but hey, they seem to follow it out, but the 7 still looking to put the pressure on back on the 11 after that slight mistake as the 09 goes to the outside of the 6.
That was so close to the 09 rear end, and the 6 there is luckily the 6 got down to the bottom. The 09 stuck to his line, but now crossover down to the bottom. 3 wide. Kyle McCoy losing out as the 6 of World goes by. Here comes the 09 of June White. He wants to make the pass on the bottom side and move himself up. He's going to make contact with the 6 of World as they're side by side, sideways off the exit of 4.
Luckily holding on for now, but we're still side by side going into 1. Well, the 6 pinch him down just a little bit, but no, he gives just enough room. But oh, a slight contact there, a little bit of wind, I believe, but they're tight off the ton as the 6 goes to pounce.
The 09 there just missed the corner up into the 6. That allowed the crossover maneuver, but now the 09 White here in the position of the outside. This might be the preferred one, but goes way up the racetrack. We'll see if the 6 can close the door here on the exit, or does the 09 have the run off the corner?
Gives a slight run, but I don't think it's enough. But the 6 gets loose on the inside, but the 09 gets into the wall. The 6 is going to, looks like it benefit just a little bit, but they're still side by side into 2. And don't look too far back. The 7 of Kyle McCoy is still there, still looking to pounce, but the 09 and the 6 are just fighting. And let's see, I mean, anything can happen as the 09 pressures ahead. 6 gets loose and falls back.
These drivers are all playoff contenders right here in these 3 spots, knowing these are valuable points that they can have for going into next week. They want to have every opportunity available to them, and the 09 of White moves forward up into the 7th position here on lap 59 of 120. Right here, Christopher, we're entering that area, the pit window sequence. When will drivers elect to come down? I think a lot of them here, especially this back half here of this front group, they're going to be electing to come down really as soon as possible because those tires not agreeing with the majority of them.
Yeah, I agree. And if I was a leader here, I would look to probably try to split it halfway. But also, if I was Dylan Grimm, and as we do have 3 people pitting. We have Andrew Hess, Joshua Robinson, Thomas Older, and Ross Tatum as a bunch enter pit road, and it's pit stop time.
Right here at halfway, drivers electing to come down at the split mark, and not surprised to see that happen. Let's see what Valle does. He's going to continue on, and not surprised even to see that from Diego. Same for Dylan Grimm. Same for James Lowe. These 3 have built up about an 8-second gap almost to the rest of the field. With that sizable gap, go ahead, stretch it out here, get a little bit of a tire advantage. This is huge for these guys who have built up this momentum as pit stops have begun. We'll get ready to see if more come down. It's like June White, yeah, Chris Worrell, Kyle McCoy, Jason Gratton, Christian Lawson, Trey Jackson, Zach Kreitz is pit road super busy.
Yep, and the leader's pitting just now in 2nd place. Doesn't follow him. Looks like if there is a point, he's going for that extra lap lead, and he gets that done. And don't look too far back as James Lowe is also on pit road. So it looks like Dylan Grimm's will be one of the last to stay out, and we'll see if it benefits him here.
We'll get to see how it all shakes out, how it benefits you as Dylan Grimm stays out here for 1 lap longer. We're going to see if he wants to come down, but we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break of the night here at Freaky Fast. As you see, the 23, he's coming down for his pit stop. We're going to try to get our first pit stop of the night done here as Stars and Stripes. It's been a pleasure so far. 60 laps in the books of 120. You ain't going to miss a thing. We'll be back in the next few moments.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down in the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Apromitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
They're 5 wide behind her pit. Oh my, the 5 wide here. This ain't gonna work. They make it last. Bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here. Coming off a 4. Look at it. That's it.
It's bottom line. Here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's going to be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow. And they just completely demolish one another. Trying to drive it down low. Drifting up. Trying to be the stealer. Here he comes. Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top 2 bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28.
And we are back here, folks, as we're at the Stars and Stripes Racing League on a Thursday night here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Zach Hall. Joined alongside me, of course, tonight. His first time broadcasting. He's doing a wonderful job. It's Christopher Norris. We've just gotten through our first cycle of pit stops here at the Granite State 120 here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the first race of the round of 2 of the playoffs. It's been a spectacular race so far, but through the cycle of pit stops, we've had a few positions change here, Christopher. Up the 3rd is Ross Tatum, Thomas Ogle up the 4th, James Lowe down the 5th from that 3rd position. Let's see if that 99, using those fresher tires, can get past these 2.
And looking at the 21, looks like he benefited the most. I believe he was probably about P4, P5 before those cautions, but he jumped himself up to P3, and he's doing pretty strong. Unfortunately, also for Dylan Grimm, he fell back probably about a second to Diego, so that's going to hurt him a little bit, but maybe this time he can save a little bit more tire and put a little bit more pressure on.
I have to see how this next run works out again. No more pit stops planned for these drivers after that first one. They should have enough fuel, enough tires left to get to the checkered flag. If we have a yellow flag, that's where it throws in the possibility of different strategies with tires. We'll just have to see what the drivers elect to do there. But Thomas Ogle here, under that pressure from the 99, 2 laps fresher tires. We'll get to see the difference of what fresher tires are like. But also can't forget Scott Rickard. He's 1 lap fresher than Ross Tatum and Thomas Ogle, but 1 lap older than James Lowe. I think Scott Rickard really gained a lot in this pit sequence also, as with only 1 lap older tires than this 99, he's right on the back bumper.
And if we move back to P8, there's a battle going off with Kyle McCoy And Chris, looks like the side by side almost door banging just a little bit. The pressure is on. They've been going back and forth just for about a lap or two, but let's just see who wants to push it just a little bit too far, or if they want to just hang in line, save tires, and move on that way.
Don't see here is this. I think nobody's going to hang in line here as these two. We know they love to race hard, and they're going to definitely do that. Here's the 6 is going to clear that 7 of Kyle McCoy, put himself up one more spot up into that 7th position as these two here came into tonight in the outside positions when it comes to those points. Only 1 point for Chris Worrell, and the driver that they had to beat coming in here tonight, Josh Robinson, that guy on the outside, or sorry, the driver just on the outside of the cut line, and also June White, who had a little bit more of a bigger gap built up than Robinson, about 5 points difference between that group. So looks like tonight, really the 30 is kind of losing out to mostly the 21 and the 23 of Grimm. So Grimm and Ross Tatum really making big charges. The only problem for the 23 of Grimm, who's up front, major, really a major point gap for him to make up, along with Kyle McCoy here, who right now, unfortunately, is not making up those points where he's running.
And it's just, it just seems to be the biggest issue right now for Joshua Robinson is his tires. Unfortunately, with him being 12 seconds back to the leader and 10 seconds back from Dylan Grimm, I don't think he'll be able to get that spots back. So, like you said, it's definitely hurt him a lot on the fact of losing those many points. But we'll see, how he can manage, and maybe we'll get a yellow. We still have 40 laps of racing left, so a lot can happen in that time, as we're still racing pretty hard all throughout the field.
Definitely some great racing going pretty hard throughout the field right now. As looks like Robinson will make the pass on June White, and I wonder if White here kind of electing to more or less give up those positions early in the run that we've seen to try to come back later in the run. So loving the strategy from the 09. He knows the points gap he came in here with tonight. I think he just wants to get out of here with some type of solid finish to where when we go into Kansas, where we know he's very strong on the intermediate style tracks, he can be right back in the clutches there to point his way in not only, but also possibly win his way into that championship round at Kansas. We've seen Kansas with this Gen 4 Cup car, Norris. It can be wild. That's going to be a fun race, I think, for us next week.
I agree. And if you have the right amount of drivers, it can be a static race throughout the field, just like this. But I would say out of 5 times to that, it's going to be a fun race for them, and anything can happen. But I definitely feel like if it's going to be a fuel mileage race, I think June White has it pretty strong there, especially to help build a bigger points gap.
June White definitely. If you're talking about saving fuel, that 09 has been definitely the one to beat for a majority of the season. So we'll see if that plays a factor next week, or will it not? Will it come down to something else? It's always something new when you come to the racetrack, of course. Right now, majority of our field's spaced out, but right now the biggest battle heading up is the battle for 4th position. Thomas Ogle still holding back the 99 of James Lowe, along with the 05 of Scott Rickard. So Lowe here, who at one point was about 4 seconds off the lead of Diego Valle before the whole pit sequence, he's now 9 seconds back, being stuck behind this traffic of drivers who've undercut him.
Yeah, and I don't think James Lowe will be able to get that time back unless we get a caution. So he's gonna try to get as many points as he can, as quickly as he can, and as soon as he can. We'll see if he make the move here. I think he's possibly just going with the strategy of saving his tires and trying to do it that way, and just hang on. But I have a feeling he'll probably want to move here pretty soon.
Definitely probably want to make a move here at some point. He can't let Ross Tatum get too far out and make that position too tough to get back, because Lowe definitely one of those drivers who got knocked out of that last round after a win at Homestead earlier this season. He was a huge definite factor in these playoffs, but just couldn't get through that last round. Unfortunately, having a great run here tonight. That's not going to be too much of a worry for him for points, more or less just out here racing for wins. So we'll see if the 99 can get something going. But right now, those playoff drivers of Scott Rickard and Ross Tatum definitely wanting every point they can get, with the two non-playoff guys right in between them.
Yeah, these lap times are still sitting pretty similar, and once again, just like the last run, it just depends on when they fall off. We're about 20 laps through the run, and looks like for Alito Diego, he's roughly about 20 laps through this run. So his tires are still holding on pretty strong. We'll see how long they do that, and if he falls off, it'd be pretty interesting to see if Dylan will be able to catch up to him, but I don't think he has the speed. But we'll see what happens, as it's been a clean race so far, but that thing can just flip like a switch, especially here at New Hampshire.
Anything can happen in short track racing, that is no doubt. And Grimm just not had the pace, of course, for Valle to close that gap, about 3.3 seconds still. Just hasn't had that one lap tire advantage show up too much. As you can see right here, the 11 Ogle sideways off of 4. This is the opening of the door for the 99 Alo. Here he comes to the inside, and he'll look to take over that 4th position, and he will clear that 11 machine. So job done by the 99. Now, can the 05 Scott Rickard try to follow him through? Rickard coming here tonight, getting the points leader. If he can come out here with a solid top 5 finish going into Kansas, he'll feel very, very comfortable, I believe.
It almost looked like the 11 wanted to strike back with the 99, but chose not to. I don't know if that's his own choosing or if his tires choosing, but he's still hanging on pretty strong. The 05 looking to pounce probably here soon, but I'm kind of worried about how much the 05 sending into the turn. It could be how he runs his line, and it could be working out the end. But hey, it's all still pretty close racing, and I mean, it's going to be tight once it comes down to the end, but still 30 laps of racing.
Still plenty of time to go for this group here, as they're all stacked up on top of one another. Great racing we're seeing as Lowe, after getting past the 11 of Ogle, has, I mean, immediately charged up to the 21 of Ross Tatum's back bumper and has really closed that gap down. That's been impressive to see, but it's been some really, really fantastic racing tonight with people's rear ends stepping out as they're holding on to the rear traction of those rear tires with all this horsepower. But I think this is a perfect time right now to give a little shout out to all our sponsors here at Stars and Stripes, as they're always helping out and doing what is necessary to keep the league going, along with all the admins here. First, give our first shout out to ButtKicker. As you know, ButtKicker, feel what you've been missing. If you can go out there and get their equipment, you'll definitely be feeling all the rumbles and feels of the road when you have your sim. And if you want to add to your ButtKicker, go out and check out Next Level Racing, as they have some of the best simulators out there. You can add that ButtKicker right to a rig of your own and be feeling all the vibrations of the racing sim. And it definitely helps bring everything alive when you have great equipment like this. So make sure you head over to nextlevelracing.com and ButtKicker.com, as they are the proud sponsors of the Stars and Stripes Racing League. As we're getting the action firing up now, the 99 Alo to the outside of the 21 of Ross Tatum, as the 05 of Rickard trying to make something happen behind them, and the 99 just not able to get there.
Yeah, he put the power down on the outside, but wasn't quite able to get it done. As he does it here, goes to the outside the 21, putting the pressure on, but he doesn't get quite there, quite close enough, as the 21 leaves him plenty of room.
Plenty of room between this action. And, you know, Lowe here has got to feel like, hey, I want to get this position, but he knows probably that Ross Tatum is a playoff contender. He doesn't want to risk anything too major, and Ross knows that these points are very, very important for him tonight. You know, he came in here tonight on the outside looking in, only 1 point on the outside looking in, but he would love to go into Kansas with a much nicer cushion underneath him heading to there. So this is very critical for him nonetheless, as now the 99 finally to that outside is going to try to continue to make that pass work, but looks like this time in 1 and 2 we'll finally get it done here, Christopher.
Yeah, the 21 shot a little bit loose on the bottom of that exit, but I believe that he probably gave up just a little bit of time because he knew the 99 wasn't going to give up. We missed it just a little bit, but actually the 11 and the 05 were fighting just a few laps to go, but the 11 was able to stay strong, keep himself in P5, but the 05 give himself just a quick rest, get those tires back up, and possibly pounce again.
I think if you're the 21 of Ross Tatum, you hope that the 11 here holds back that 05, or, you know, stays behind you one nonetheless. And it's kind of the defense between you and Scott Rickard. Any point here available can be a huge game, but you can see the sliding of the rear tires already. And I mean, we've just crossed under 30 laps to go, just 4 laps ago. And that right there, when you're seeing that type of sliding out, that's not a good sign if you're the 21 team.
And I mean, there's fights throughout the field. The 6 and the 09 are fighting back in P and 10, fighting for that 9th and 10th position. Let's see if the 09 of June might can just get that points gap, grow it just a little bit. Hopefully not lose too much in this race, but they're definitely fighting pretty strong as the 06 gets loose on the bottom, but still looking pretty good.
Definitely some great racing there as the 09 did make the pass up to the 9th spot over Chris Worrell, who slots back to the 10th position here as Worrell's going to take another shot at him, but just couldn't get close enough. But now 95 laps in the books here, folks. 25 laps to go. Everybody single filed out. Diego Valle leading the way here in the Granite State 120. We're going to step away for our final commercial break of this evening here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you. It's been a pleasure calling all the action alongside Christopher Norris here tonight as we're at the Granite State 120 here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. You're not going to miss a thing as we're going to be back here in the next few moments to close out tonight's event. And we are back here, folks, for the final 15 laps here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the Granite State 120 here at the Stars and Stripes Racing League for round number 2 of the playoffs here. As it's been a procedural of a race tonight, man. It's been pretty straightforward. As you can see right here, our leader, Diego Valle, about a 2.3 second gap back to his teammate Grimm, who has closed it in considerable from where we had it from before, but it's still been a strong run nonetheless from the 68, a dominating performance, who's just hoping to get to the checker flag. My name is Zach Hall, folks, and joined alongside me tonight, it's been Christopher Norris. And Christopher, it has been a very much a race of, you know, clean and green, but also keeping your tires very well kept together, and this 68 has done it better than anybody.
And if we look back to P6, they're definitely struggling pretty hard back here. Last Tatum had himself up to P3, 9 seconds back from the leader, but now he's fallen back to 12 seconds back to the leader and P4. So I don't think he's going to fall much farther than that. The 05 and the 11, they're fighting pretty strong, but will they fight hard enough and they get up to the 21? Will they put the pressure on, and how hard will they do it?
That's going to be the huge question for sure, is can the 21 hold back the 05 who's gotten past the 11? But not only that, I think the biggest thing is the improvement this run of Joshua Robinson. We talked about the 30 and his really huge loss in that first run. It really caused them to have to undercut a lot of these guys. That 30, he's marched his way back up to 8th and actually putting the pressure on Kyle McCoy right now for the 7th position. So the 30 machine of Robinson, definitely quite the recovery from him this second run. This could be huge for his opportunities heading into Kansas next week.
For sure, and he's putting the pressure on just right on just about equal laps, so I think he has to find just a little bit more speed to be able to get there, but I think he should have no worries finding that as the 7 lets to struggle and go high just a little bit. As he's on the inside now, let's see what he can do exiting 2.
Huge run here for the 09, or sorry, for the 30 machine, as the 09 of White tries to close into these two battling ahead, as the 7 with the run off the corner is able to clear the 30. But we've seen multiple times tonight Kyle McCoy have a tough time defending on this outer groove. He just seems to, when he gets into the corner on this outside, just misses that the third groove, gets up into the 4th upper groove out of that, you know, asphalt that we see there. It just gets up into the dirty stuff and just can't hold on to it. So we'll see if he can hold on for 10 more laps, but this 30 definitely putting the pressure on.
And anything can happen here, but it just depends. Definitely going to be a good point situation if the 30 can pass him, but he has to make sure he does it right and does it timely. With 10 laps to go, definitely the time is now, but when can he do it?
Gonna be the question of when or if, for sure, for this 30 machine. He knows he didn't have the greatest first run, has to make up for it right here to end this race. This one position could be the difference between him moving on or not. But as the 6th position here, Thomas Ogle looks like he had a little bit of moment up here with the 05 or Rickard, who's all over the back bumper with the 21 Ross Tatum. These drivers all playoff contenders other than Thomas Ogle, knowing these points are all very valuable for their opportunities.
Points are valuable indeed, and Thomas Ogle is looking to steal those away, but so is Scott Rickard. Ross Tatum gets loose on the bottom, but he's able to capitalize on it and keep going strong. Let's see what happens in 3 and 4.
It's amazing to see sometimes these cars step sideways and they drive forward. It almost seems like they get a better run sometimes when they're sideways. So it's definitely awkward to see, but I'm sure it doesn't help those tires. As the 05, I mean, the right rear of that car, you couldn't put a piece of paper in between it and the outside wall. That could have been a huge hit for him. He holds on to it, but heating up the rear tires as he's trying to advance into the top 4.
Yeah, the 21 is exiting low, and the 05 trying to exit mid-off, but he's getting super tight off the tons, almost hitting the wall. And, I mean, I think he has the right amount of speed. It's just, can he get the pass done, and if he can get the pass done. He's looking to do it center off with a little bit of extra speed, but I don't think it's working so far.
Just hasn't been able to work so far, like you said there, Christopher, but will he have the time? Will he have the tire that stays with him to make this work? He does have 1 lap fresher tires, but at this point, 53, 54 laps into the run, I don't think tires, that advantage is going to be too big anymore for that 05, as they keep it nice and straight. But the battle that's raging on again is that 7th position. Joshua Robinson now to the outside of the 7 McCoy, and behind them June White into the outside wall in 3 and 4. But he's going to get an excellent run actually with that maneuver off the wall. Kind of somewhat wall riding, such as you would see in Bristol there for that 09. But here comes the 30, just not able to make the outside work. This is surprising to see as the 7's going to slide up in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, he finally got himself to the outside. In the 09, he's looking to make a Kyle Lawson famous video game move. He's trying the outside wall a little bit, trying that outside line, but can he get it done? He's going to get a huge run off here in 3 and 4 if he just doesn't hit the wall and almost look to make it 3 wide.
We'll see, can he cut it down here on the exit? He's getting a big run, the 09 of June White. Huge run, the 30 of Robinson wiggling down the front straightaway. Huge loss of momentum, and now the 09's taking advantage of this. White sees the opening and goes through the middle, 3 wide here off the exit of 2. We're racing hard for points, boys.
Everyone's getting tight. Everyone's getting loose. They all just fall back just a little bit, but the 7 prevails. The 09 looks to make it strong on the outside, but let's see what the 30 can do. Back here down on the bottom of 3 and 4.
3 and 4 for the 30 machine to the inside, but not able to get it to stick. The 09 clears. June White up to 8th. Joshua Robinson back to 9th. Kyle McCoy holds on to 7th here as we go into the final 4 laps of this race. Look at White taking it way up the racetrack, but it's going to be the 30 to the inside. They're not able to cut all the way down as the 09 definitely trying everything available on this racetrack.
Definitely holding him off and moving up just a little bit forward. Scott Rickard is looking just a little bit closer to Ross Tatum. Will he be able to take that very valuable point away, or can he just not get there? Still trying to do it, but not able to get there quite yet.
Rickard not able to get there, but the 09 of White is. The 09 now down to the inside, and he's going to hit the door of the 7. That actually slipped him sideways there as we switched the camera. The 09, huge loss of momentum. He drops back to 9th. That allows Robinson back up the 8th, and Kyle McCoy with some breathing room here with 2 laps only to go.
Yeah, that was almost a caution that almost ruined Diego's night. The 09 had a huge save there and luckily was able to hold on, but unfortunately it's going to be just a few points lost with that gap that he has, but definitely unfortunate with what happened.
Unfortunate ending right there for the 09. Couldn't make it stick, but his teammate, the 68 of Diego Valle, such a dominant night. He sees the freaky fast white flag. It's only 1 more mile here to go at the Magic Mile here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It's been such a dominant night for this 68. Got the pole position, held the lead from the start to finish, has never looked back, and he's going to look for his 5th victory and maybe the most important one of them all, because this one is going to lock him into the championship 4. It's going to allow Diego Valle to go fight for a championship in 2 weeks.
Absolute dominant run by the number 60 Diego Valle. I'm pretty sure leading almost every single lap. I mean, that's extreme domination, finishing 3 seconds of a P2 and 10 seconds of a P3. Absolute amazing run by the 68.
Amazing run indeed, as he's going to bring it around. He's going to look to come celebrate on the front stretch. 5th win again of the season for Valle. That's going to put him 2 ahead of the next best driver, and also teammate Dylan Grimm bringing home 2nd, along with James Lowe back up to the 3rd position. And what a way to close it out here tonight at New Hampshire, as we're going to get ready to head to Kansas next week to figure out who are going to be the other 3 drivers joining this 68 as a championship contender. He's got an A+ on the hood. I'd say it's an A+ grade for that night there. The 68 Diego Valle burning it down here in New Hampshire. We're going to step away here as we're going to get ready to go have a chat with our top 3 drivers here tonight and hear how their thoughts went down from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We'll be back in the next few months, folks. And we are back here, folks, as we got our post-race interview segment of the night. It's been a fantastic race here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for 120 laps. And the winner of tonight's race in the round of 2 here in the playoffs, it's been the 68 of Diego Valle with a dominant performance. Let's get his thoughts from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Hey, Diego, it's Zach in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, buddy, what a dominant performance here tonight it was from you. I mean, really, the only lap I could think that you didn't lead was after that pit sequence there where Dylan Grimm, your teammate, stays out for one extra lap. But, I mean, that was a A-plus performance to fit your hood's paint scheme. So how do you feel about that performance and locking yourself into that championship for?
Well, I'm guaranteed for a championship, so whatever I do next week doesn't necessarily matter for my season, but you know, I feel nice having the security to be in the championship race already.
Yeah, I mean, having that week off, it's definitely going to be a huge help. Do you prepare extra instead of preparing next week for Kansas? Do you look forward directly to Auto Club? And what's your preparation going to be looking like?
Well, I'm gonna be preparing next week for Kansas because I want to come out there and run my best race every week. But I've already been looking at Auto Club for a while, hoping to make it. So that preparation is hopefully gonna pay off during the championship race.
Well, Diego, I tell you what, it was a dominant performance tonight, man. It was so fun to watch you put that 68 on pole, lead most of the laps here tonight, and mark yourself as one of the championship 4 contenders. So before we let you get out here, anybody you want to send a shout out to, as you're going to be one of those drivers fighting for a championship?
Yeah, shout out to Mathnasium, my workplace and sponsor on this car. Yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to GSI. This wheel, the GT Max 32 fueled this win. Shout out to my coworkers. Shout out to my parents and my brother and my sister. And shout out to y'all. Y'all do a fantastic job week in, week out. Thank y'all so much for broadcasting and allowing us, our family and friends, to be able to see what's going on up here. So.
Well, thank you
Thanks, y'all.
very much, Diego, for the kind words. Congrats on the win. Congrats on making it to that Final Four. And we can't wait to see what you can pull off at the Auto Club Speedway in just a mere 2 weeks. So congrats, Diego, and we will catch you at Kansas next week.
Appreciate it. Catch y'all next week.
All right there, folks. That was your race winner here tonight, the Granite Stone 120 here, as it was an excellent performance from that 68 machine. But the driver who had the next best performance was in that second position, another playoff contender, a teammate of Diego Valle, and that's going to be the 23 Dylan Grimm. Let's get his thoughts from the second place position. Hey, Dylan, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, Dylan, I tell you what, buddy, congrats first off on an excellent run here tonight in that second position. I know you probably wanted to end up one position better, but nonetheless, that was a great performance, especially coming in here tonight, the last driver in that top 8 of points. How do you feel about your performance here in New Hampshire?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Obviously, I would have liked the win. That would have put off a lot of pressure for next week, but I mean, I did as well as I could have without beating Diego tonight. So really good run. I just need to do the same thing next week.
Yeah, I'm looking for next week. It's going to be Kansas Speedway. Any extra preparation? You're going to grind it out as much as possible. I mean, it's a pretty fun track, especially in these cars. And do you think you have a pretty good shot at winning that track, or just hoping for a good points day?
Yeah, Kansas has been kind of a hit or miss track for me, but I'm sure I'll be able to put in a lot of laps this week and with my teammates as well, and hopefully I can kind of dial it in, and yeah, just hope for a podium finish again next week. I think that's the only shot I have, either that or a win. So I'll try to do our best next week.
Well, Dylan, I tell you what, you did your best tonight, and it definitely was well worth it, my friend, at the second place finish, getting some well-earned points towards those playoffs to get into that Final Four. And we're going to get to see how that all shakes out next week at Kansas. Hopefully the points favor on your side heading into next week. But before we let you get out here and go get prepared for Kansas, anybody want to send a shout-out to?
Yeah, first off, I want to thank Nate and all the guys that put on this league. I have so much fun running these Thursday night races. You guys in the broadcast booth, you guys do such an awesome job. Going back to these broadcasts are a lot of fun, and you guys are really professional. I want to thank my teammates so much. These past few weeks, especially, they've been so helpful for me to find the line to run and everything like that. So can't thank June, Diego, and Ryan enough. And then I also got to thank my papa for spotting for me for all these races this season, and any other family members watching out there.
Well, Dylan, congrats again, like I said, on second place here tonight. We'll catch you at Kansas, and hopefully after that race, you'll be fighting for a chance for a Final Four and a championship.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you, guys.
All right there, folks. That was your second place driver there tonight. Dylan Grimm came in here 8th tonight in points with those playoffs. He's going to come out here in a much better position than that for sure when we head to Kansas. Now we're going to move on to third, non-playoff contender, but definitely nonetheless a great run. It was the third place man, James Lowe. Let's hear his thoughts from New Hampshire. Hey, James, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Zach.
Well, James, I tell you what, excellent run here tonight, man. Able to bring it home in that P3 position. How do you feel after leaving New Hampshire? Of course, not being a part of those playoffs, but nonetheless, a great run.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we were really looking for. Didn't really have much to race for, so just go out there and try to, get as good as finish as you can. And luckily tonight we had enough speed to accomplish that.
Yeah, and he did pretty good well there. I mean, you made your way into the playoffs, still looking pretty strong. Unfortunately, did not make the round of 8, but hey, still on and out here, and hopefully next season can move yourself onto the round of 8. We still have 2 races left. We have Kansas, we have Auto Club. You're going to be putting much practice in. You just meet, hanging out, showing up on Thursday night, and just running some laps.
Well, I'm a dad, so I don't get to practice for any of these things. I just kind of show up on race night and go. So there won't be any practice, but we'll come out here and I don't think anybody's going to beat Diego for the rest of the year, so I don't think that's going to be an issue, but we'll see if we can run second or third.
Well, James, it's going to be fun to watch those last 2 races of the season play out. Congrats on the third place finish tonight and an excellent podium run. Before we let you get out of here, anybody want to send a shout out to?
Yeah, give a big shout out to my buddy Chris, my teammate, and been buddies for a while, and I'm glad he showed up tonight. We were still involved in the team points, but that's kind of shattered now because there was only 2 of us, so that kind of sucks. We did have a little bit to race for, but now we don't. But yeah, thank him and thank Nate for letting me join. You guys for broadcasting. Y'all do a great job. One of the best, and everybody for watching.
Well, thank you for the kind words, James. Congrats on third again tonight, and we'll catch you at Kansas next week.
Appreciate it.
All right, folks. That was your third place driver there, James Lowe. What an excellent run for him once again here at the Stars and Stripes Race League. That was your post-race segment of tonight with our interviews from our top 3 drivers here from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. As we get this broadcast all wound down, we're going to bring up our unofficial results to see where your favorite drivers played out tonight here. It was definitely fun here at the Magic Mile as Diego Valle was able to bring home that victory and lock himself into that championship 4 there at the Auto Club Speedway in a mere 2 weeks. But you see him here, the unofficial results. Diego Valle, of course, with that win. Second's going to go to Dylan Grimm. Third's going to go to the 99 of James Lowe. Fourth is going to go to the 21 of Ross Tatum. Fifth is Scott Rickard. Sixth is going to go to Thomas Ogle. Seventh is going to be Kyle McCoy. Eighth is going to be Joshua Robinson. Ninth is going to go to June White. And rounding out the Freaky Fast top 10 is going to be the 6th of Chris Worrell. As we watch the rest of the leaderboard click through and see the rest of the race results, Christopher, any final thoughts from tonight here from New Hampshire? What was it like for your first time, not only up in the booth, but also seeing this excellent racing here at Stars and Stripes?
Exciting, man. And we love cautions, but we also love note cautions. Extremely clean racing by these guys. And once again, a huge save went to the 09 of June White. Just amazing job with all these drivers, especially with such a tough track. and a tough car. These drivers are pretty good. They have a lot of talent, but hey, we'll see what happens in the next 2 races at Kansas and Auto Club, where anything can happen.
And it will be. It's going to be fun to see how the season closes out. 2 excellent tracks and really some excellent drivers ready to determine who is going to be fighting at that Auto Club Speedway for that Stars and Stripes elusive series championship. So it's always going to be fun to see who can get that done. Thank you everybody who tuned in here tonight. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and that bell notification button so you can be notified each and every time we go live here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, as we are getting down to the closeout of many of our season Stars and Stripes here. Only 2 weeks left for it. And also, you're going to have the return of the Full Sin Racing Series on Tuesday nights back this week after they took their week off for their Halloween break, as they start their first race of the playoffs at the Roval in Charlotte. That's going to be one you don't want to miss out on for sure. But again, we're back here on Thursday nights for Kansas. Don't miss on that one also, as we close out the season here at Stars and Stripes. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. My name has been Zach Hall, along with me, Christopher Norris, tonight, calling the action, along with our producer, Robert Moyer Jr. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will catch you next time. And as I always say, stay freaky fast.